Can you tell us a bit about how his entourage was organized? Did you carry out your duties in shifts, or were you all together with him all the time?
Initially, like a point of correction, like when you talk of orderlies, these are people who usually take care of SANA's uniforms and boots. That was me and JCB only. The rest were not orderlies, they were close protection. Apart from me and JCB Mendy, the rest were close protection, they were not orderlies. So when you talk of orderlies, it's me and JCB only. So our responsibility as orderlies, like I said, was to take care of his boots and uniform. But fortunately for us, we were not taking care of his uniforms, but only his boots, because the uniforms were taken care of by the wife, that is ironing them, starching them, whatever. So it was me and JCB. The rest were close protection.
So if I understand correctly, the rest were close protection. You and JCB were orderlies, meaning you took care of his boots, but you also served as bodyguards as well,
Yes,
right?
Council.
Okay. So you were about to tell us about how you organize yourselves in terms of shifts.
Okay.
Please proceed.
Then the two of us as orderlies, initially SANA divided us, that is me and JCB Mendy, that when he is going to the office, like a day like today, Monday, one will remain at the residence, then one will go with him. Then the following day, the other will, the one who went to the office will stay, and the one who remained will go with him to the office. That was how we started initially. That was how he initiated it. But later, it was disregarded by him. So we all do go to the office whenever he's going to the office. So in the end, there was no rear guard that will serve as a rear protection for the family.
You said later. Later when? When did it change such that...
Not long. It's not more than 2 months after when we were there.
So let's focus on the initial period. So you started in August 1994. Looking at the period of August and September, from what I understand, you would take shifts with JCB Mendy in terms of being with Sana Sabali when he went out of the house. Is that correct?
Yes, Council.
Did that change when it came to actual operations?
It changes sometimes. Like, it was not specific to say, you know, we all should be going with him whenever he's going out. You know, sometimes he doesn't observe those things to say who will go and who will stay. This was within us. This was between me and JCB. Sometimes I will go when JCB stays. Sometimes JCB will go whilst I stay.
So let me focus your attention on an incident in relation to the Mile 2 Central Prison. Do you recall going to Mile 2 Central Prison while you were Vice Chairman Sana Sabali's orderly in 1994?
Yes, Council.
So tell us about that, starting from the beginning. How did you come to make that trip to Mile 2, and what happened when you got there?
It was one evening that while we were at the vice president's or the former vice chairman's residence in Fajaro, we were asked to go, or Sana asked us to go with him. Initially, we did not know where we were going. We went along with Edward Singate, Yankuba Toure, and Sadibu Haider with their orderlies and close protection. Because
Can we list all the names of the individuals that you recall? Tell us their names as well as their ranks.
you mean the close protections and the orderlies?
Yes, precisely.
I was there, Babukar Njai,
We know that you were a private at the time. Who else was there?
I can hear you, Council.
At the time, we know that you were a private soldier.
Yes,
Can you
Council.
tell us who else went
Yes.
with you and what their rank was at the time?
Zakaria Dabo was there. I think he was a corporal. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure. Because he came from the Zandam. So, but it's like he was a corporal at that time when he was coming to join us. Zakaria Dabo, JCB Mendy was a private. Babanjai also, I'm not too sure his rank because he seniored me. But he was also with us. Babanjai.
Yes, tell us about everyone else who was there, so the orderlies of the other council members.
Sadibu Haidara was there. One of his orderly by the name Lamarana Barry was there. Mustafa Suso was there.
Sorry, repeat that name. Something Suso?
Suso, I don't know. Something, I forgot the first name anyway, but the last name is Suso.
Does the name Alfuseni sound?
Exactly. Alfuseni.
Alfuseni Suso.
Alfuseni.
Continue.
Did I mention Lamarana? Okay.
Yes, you did.
Alfuseni Suso. Yeah, I think these are the guys I remember from Sadibu. There was one Jassy. I don't know, something Jassy. I can't remember the first name. He was also with Haidara, Sadibu.
Who was with Edward Sinyate?
Edward Singate, you have Marong. I can't remember the first name. Marong.
Do you recall his rank?
Sorry, ma.
His rank?
Marong at that time, I think he was a couple. Not too sure.
Does the name Lamin sound
Lamin.
correct?
Lamin Marong, something like that.
Are you sure?
Anyway, the nickname is King Kong, but
King Kong.
Yeah, I can't remember the first name, but the surname is Marong.
Okay, please continue.
With Edward and Mustafa Toure. Mustafa Toure, or the nickname Churo,
Sure.
was also part of Edward Singate's close production.
What about Yankuba Toure? Who was with him that night?
Yankuba Toure, Jali Musa Sow was one of them. Jali Musa Sow, Sambaba was one of them. These are the two I can remember.
Do you know someone by the name Ensa Mendy?
Exactly.
Was he
Ensa-
present that
Ensa
day?
was one of his orderlies also, his close protection.
So apart from the council members and the orderlies that you've mentioned, was anyone else part of the group that went to Mile 2 prison on that occasion?
You know, this was at night, and it was difficult to try to see those who were there, actually, the actual people who were there. But as far as I can remember, the orderlies were there, and any other foreign body apart from us, I could not definitely remember.
Apart from the council members, was there any other senior officer present that night?
I can't remember.
Do you know someone by the name Peter Sinyate?
Exactly.
Was he present that
he was
night?
There. He was there.
Did he come on his own, or was he with someone else?
Sorry?
Did he have an orderly, for instance?
Peter, at that time, no idea.
Okay, so this is the group that went to Mile 2 at the time. Can you tell us how this trip came about? You started to tell us that you were asked to go to Mile 2. Tell us in detail who told you about where you were going and why you were going there.
Actually, when we were going, we were not told as to where we were going until when we suddenly saw ourselves branching into Mile 2 Central Prison. That was the time we knew that we were going to Mile 2.
Do you recall around what time that was?
This was in the night, like after 10 to 11, something like that, 10 onwards.
So very late at night.
Not very late, not very, very late. This was around 10, after 10.
Do you recall the date of that event?
No concern.
Was it within a few weeks or months after you became an orderly to Sanasabali?
Months, few months after I became an orderly to Sana.
The testimonies that we have heard put it at the 6th of September 1994. Does that sound correct to you?
That's correct.
Thank you. Tell us what happened upon your arrival at Mile 2 that night.
Upon our arrival at Mile 2 that night, the gates were opened by the prison warders of Mile 2. Then we went straight to confinement number 5. We started at number 5. When we were about to enter confinement number 5, the doors were opened by the prison warders.
Who do you recall from the prison wardens who was present?
No, I don't know them much. I don't know these prison officers. But I remember that the doors were opened by the prison warders. But because I don't know them, the actual person I don't know.
Before you continue, were you armed that night?
Yes, Counsel.
What type of weapons were you carrying? Your group, that is.
I know of mine, but like I was carrying a PGL, but the rest.
Say that again.
PGL.
PGL. What does that stand for?
A portable grenade launcher.
Can you describe the weapon?
This weapon is like an AK-47, but it has a slight difference with the AK-47 because underneath the barrel of the rifle, it has a launcher.
So an AK-47 that could also launch a grenade. Is that correct?
Sorry?
An AK-47 that could also launch a grenade.
Exactly, ma.
Did you carry any other weapon apart from that?
Apart from that, no, Council.
The rest of your group, were they also armed?
They were armed. We were all armed.
With similar weapons?
Yeah, that's because those type of weapons were not many. So I wouldn't know actually whether they were all carrying the same type of weapon like mine. But I know for myself, I was carrying that PGL.
Okay, so the cells were open, or the wing was open.
The wing was open, and then upon arriving at confinement number 5, the door was also open where we all entered, including the council members.
Prior to that, did anyone from your group say or do anything as you were entering confinement wing number 5?
Say or do?
Do anything?
Not to my knowledge.
At that point, did you know why you were going into confinement number 5?
No, ma.
Continue telling us what happened.
I did not know why we were going, like I said, until when we enter, we know, okay, we are going to mile 2, and then we went straight, when the gates were open, we went straight to confinement number 5. You know, you don't have only one door in mile 2, you have door on doors. So when we arrive at the last door, that is the door leading into their cells, that one was also open. We all entered, including the council members. When I say council members, I mean Yankuba Toure and his orderlies, Sana Sabali, his orderlies, Edward Singate, and Peter Singate. So when we all entered, then the council members, I said, Sana Sabali, Edward Singate, Yankuba Toure said that the prison warders should open their cell doors, that the detainees should be moved out from their cells to confinement number 1, which they did.
Sorry, who moved the detainees?
I was one of those who moved the detainees together.
So step by step, tell us exactly what you did.
Actually, when these cells door were open, we were asked by the council members to move them whilst they stood beside us and watch.
To move who?
The detainees in their cells.
Which detainees?
The security detainees.
Give us some names.
People like Chongan.
Which Chongan?
Chongan. I think it's Ibrahim Chongan. Mamad Cham. Mamad Cham, I remember him.
What is his current rank?
He's a general. His current rank is a general in the army.
Who else?
And quite a lot of them. I can't remember all, but I remember Chongan, I remember Mamad Cham. Yes.
So tell us exactly what you did.
When we received the instructions from Sana Sabali specifically, that we should move them to confinement number 1, maximum security, which we did. Now, when these cell doors were open, some of them don't want to come out from their cells. In fact, some of them have to sit flat on the ground. Then we drag them. I personally dragged one of them. I could not remember actually who, because this was an order. And whilst the council members were just standing right behind us, watching.
Tell us how you dragged that person.
I hold the person on the hand and then move with him.
So the person was lying on the floor. Is that correct?
Not all of them were lying on the floor. Some of them were sitting.
We're talking about the first person that you dragged.
Was sitting, yeah, they were sitting on the floor.
He was sitting on the floor.
He was sitting on the floor, yeah.
And you dragged him by doing what exactly?
By moving him from his cell to confinement number 1.
How did you do that?
I hold his hand. Can I demonstrate?
Please go ahead. You can carry the mic as well so we
Yeah.
can hear what you're saying.
I hold the hand like this and push the guy out from his cell up to confinement number 1.
You make it sound very effortless, but I assume the person was resisting. Was the person resisting as you were dragging?
No, initially, when the action was about to take place, he was resisting. But when he was moving, he never resisted.
Tell us what happened next. Where did you take the person?
We moved them to confinement number 1. Just opposite confinement number 1, there is a wall. There is a long wall facing direct to confinement number 1. That was where they were lined up. The security detainees were lined up. Then the council members were talking to them.
So just a second. You dragged this person up to the wall. Did you say or do anything to the person as you dragged him?
Personally, no, ma. I didn't say anything.
How many people did you drag outside of this?
I dragged 1 because we were many, and not all the security detainees were moved out. Only few were moved out to that direction, to the direction of confinement number 1, whilst others were still remain in their cells.
Did you beat any of the detainees?
Personally, me, I didn't beat because, like, when I entered the wing, when I entered their area, I realized that most of them were senior officers. Almost all of them were senior officers. Then my consent did not allow me. I feel, how should I call it? I feel guilty to lay hand on them because I realized that these are senior officers, that they didn't do anything to me that will warrant me to beat them like that. And moreover, I was not given any order to beat at the initial stage. So why should I beat?
So your conscience didn't allow you to beat them, but
Yes.
your conscience allowed you to drag the detainee out of the cell. Is
Actually,
that correct?
in fact, the reason why I did that, because this was an immediate order passed by Sana Sabali, who was right behind me. So there was nothing that I can do. You know, I have to drag them, or I have to drag him. That was the only reason why I did that.
How long did you drag this person? What was the distance from the cell to where you took this person?
From their cells to the door of confinement number 5. Then they stood up and walked the rest.
What is the distance, approximately?
This is from their cells to number 1,
Yes.
like 75 meters.
75 meters.
Something like that, approximately, yeah.
What was the ground like, the ground that you dragged this person on?
This was a cement floor.
So dragging someone on the cement floor for about 75 meters. Did you injure the person?
It could be.
You said that your conscience didn't allow you to beat any of the detainees. Did you insult any of them?
Say again?
Did you insult any of the detainees?
No, ma. Like I said, these are senior officers. You know, they didn't do anything to me that will earn or cause me to insult just like that. So I didn't insult anyone.
Because insulting any of them would have been going above and beyond the order that you were given, which was to drag them out of the cells, correct?
That's correct, Counsel.
So if any of the detainees said that you insulted them, they would be lying. Is that your testimony?
As far as I can fully remember, I was not that type of person. And soldiers watching at me right now can attest to that. I am not praising myself right here, but I want to say that I was one of the most disciplined soldiers in the Army up to now. If what I'm saying is true, the soldiers out there can bear me witness. So I don't talk much. I always reserve my consent. I always reserve myself in whatever situation. I just found myself to be an orderly to Sana. I don't know how, because I was just called by him, Sana Sabali, that I'm to be an orderly at the same time a close protection to him, just like that. I am not related to him. That will make him to call me before the July 22nd to be an orderly to him. So I am such a person that I have high regards for people. And as far as discipline is concerned, I know I was one of the most disciplined soldiers in the Army at that time.
So you said as far as you remember, you were not that kind of person to insult senior officers who were present at the security wing that night.
Correct, Counsel.
So which means that anyone accusing you of having done so, according to your testimony, would be lying. Is that correct?
Yes, Counsel.
So I'd like to play an extract of a testimony that was given here at the beginning of the Commission's hearing. I request that the OV van plays the testimony of Ibrahima Chongan. You have the relevant extract, so if you could please bring it up and play.
So said, and I heard all the soldiers, yeah, where's Chongan? Where's Chongan? He was the one who ambushed us. So Sabali came with Antu Saidi, the deputy governor of the prison, and he showed me something and I said, do you know this? I said, what? He said, this is blood.
And can we hear the volume?
I thought it was blood of
Turn up the
Captain
volume so we can
Emocham.
hear the sound.
So now they opened my cell, and Antu Saidi, who was the deputy prison governor, they handcuffed me from behind.
We can't hear the sound. Can you replay the video and increase the volume? While they do that, Mr. Njai, can you hear me? While they're sorting out the video, you mentioned that these detainees were dragged. Were they dragged individually or were they dragged one after the other?
They were being dragged collectively.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, each of the orderlies will enter a cell and bring out the guy that you are asked to bring out. And they headed to confinement number 1.
And your testimony is that the orderlies brought out these detainees at the same time?
At the same, simultaneously, yeah.
Well, that's very surprising because the testimonies that we've heard from each of the individuals that was dragged out of their cell is that they were dragged separately, one at a time. That's what we heard from RSM Jeng. That's what we heard from Mama Cham. That's what we heard from Ibrahima Chongan, that they were dragged individually, one at a time. You're telling us now that they were all dragged together.
No, what I mean is not together at the same time, sorry. Not
Well, you just said they were dragged together simultaneously. What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is like one, like, whilst the other is being moved, the other follow. Like that. Whilst the other one have been moved, then the other one follow. That's what I mean. But not like bringing them from. Are you getting me?
Not quite with the mic. Can you repeat your answer? Let's see.
Yeah, I said not bringing them all together from the cells at once, but I said like one detainee has been moved whilst the other follow. That's what
How long after one detainee had been moved did the other follow? Was it a matter of seconds?
Yeah, minutes or so. You call it minutes or seconds, yeah.
So your testimony is that they were all moved and taken to the wall and they were at the wall together. Is that correct?
Not together. At the door, at the entry of their cells, it's not possible for all of them to come out together. But one will come whilst the other follow. The one that comes will be asked to stand. Then, after some time, the other one will follow. Because looking at confinement number 5 is a bit long. The cells are in row. So coming down from wherever cells the person may be to confinement number 1 is a bit far. That's what I mean. One will come, after some time, the other will follow.
And according to what you've said, they were all taken and lined up at the wall. Is that correct?
It's correct, ma'am.
So they were all taken, lined up at the wall, and all 3 of them were together?
Sorry?
All of them were together at the wall?
Exactly, ma'am.
Tell us what happened.
Yeah, when that happened, when they were all lined up, like I said, then Sana Sabali started shooting very close to them on the ground, but not directly. Started shooting very close to them. And then they were talking to them, but the council members were talking to them, Sana Sabali, Yankuba Toure.
What were they saying to them?
I could not remember actually, but I remember them talking to the detainees. But what they were saying, I forgot.
Describe their behavior towards the detainees.
Yeah, their behavior towards the detainees at that time was like they were trying to scare them. They were scaring them, by telling them big words.
Such as?
As we will kill you, such as we will kill you. Mm-hmm.
Who said we will kill you?
That's what I said. Like, I can't remember, but I remember Sana and Yankuba Toure talking to them, actually.
Sana and Yankuba Toure.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from the 2 of them, did anyone else talk to the detainees at that point?
At that time, I cannot remember.
So continue telling us.
Then we were there until when they were ready, the council members. Then they were asked by the prison warders to return them back to their cells.
Let's still focus on what happened at the wall. So you said that Sana Sabali and Yankuba Toure were scaring the detainees, saying words such as, "We will kill you." Did they do anything to the detainees at that time, apart from what they said?
If there is anything like torturing, if there was going to be anything done to them, we'll be torturing. But as far as my memory can serve me, I can't remember them being tortured you know, because this is a long time, like I said. But I can't remember. I remember them being assembled behind the wall facing confinement number 1 while they were talking to them. And then Sana was, you know, shooting indirectly very close to them. There was no casualty, neither injury. And then I remember Sana and Edway, Yankuba talking to them. I think this was not mentioned in my statement, but I remember somebody putting a pistol in the mouth of one of the detainees. I cannot remember actually the guy. But there was nothing.
Who put a pistol in whose mouth?
Yeah, it's like Yankuba Toure.
Put a pistol in whose mouth?
Yeah, like one of the detainees. I can't remember the actual detainee, because
we heard testimony from Mr. Ibrahim Chongan that someone put a pistol in his mouth. Does that sound?
Something like, because Chongan, I did not know Chongan before. I came to know him when I joined them at the central prison, when I was also under detention. That was the time I came to know Chongan.
But your testimony is that Yankuba Toure put a pistol in the mouth of one of the detainees.
Something like that. I'm not very much.
Can you tell us what he was doing?
I'm not very much sure on that, but I remember one of the security council members putting a pistol on the mouth of one of the detainees. But the actual person is what has kept my mind. I can't exactly. If it is Chongan, then that's it. But you know, at the time, I don't know Chongan. I came to know Chongan when I was in Mile 2 also.
I just want to make sure your testimony is clear. So the person in whose mouth the pistol was shoved could have been Ibrahim Chongan, but you're not too sure.
Yes, ma'am.
However, the person who shoved the pistol into his mouth was Yankuba Toure, according to your testimony.
Something like that.
Can you tell us what he was doing when he shoved the pistol into the detainee's mouth?
Like,
did he do or say anything when he put the pistol in the mouth of?
Yeah, that's what I said. Him and Sabali, we are talking to them, but like what they were saying actually is what I could not remember now. But I remember them talking to them.
So you've told us that these detainees were dragged from their cells. They were intimidated as council members scared them, saying words to the effect, "We will kill you." Yankuba Toure pointed a pistol in the mouth of one of the detainees, possibly Mr. Ibrahim Chongan. Did they do anything else to the detainees?
That's what I said. Like, if there was going to be anything, would be torture. Like, but I can't remember any of them being tortured.
The question is, was there or was there not any beating of the detainees?
No, there was no beating.
Do you recall writing your own statement and providing it to the commission in response to the notice of adverse mention?
Sorry?
Do you recall writing a statement responding to the allegations that were made against you?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to give you a copy of your statement, and I will refer you to a particular paragraph so that we can read it out into the record. I will give you the original version of the statement. Please take a look and let me know if that is the statement that you signed.
Which paragraph, ma'am?
Take a look at page 2. Look at the second paragraph of page 2. In fact, before you read it, I note that this is something you provided on the 13th of March, 2019. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And you have signed the statement on the last page. Is that correct?
It's correct.
And this is a statement that you wrote yourself. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So looking back at page 2, let me refer you to the second paragraph on that page.
Page 2.
Yes. Can you push the mic down a little bit so that you can read what that second paragraph says? It starts with, "It is important to note." Have you seen it?
Yes, I saw it, ma'am.
Please read what that paragraph says.
It is important to note that only council members participated in the shooting and beating of detainees which I saw. To my knowledge, no others participated in the shooting. The whole aim was to scare the detainees and not to shoot or kill. Hence, why only council members participated and why they shot immediately.
Indirectly. They shot indirectly.
Indirectly, yeah.
So just last month, your recollection is that the council members beat the detainees. That's what your statement says. Is that correct?
It's correct. It's correct.
So how come when I just asked you a few minutes ago if the detainees were beaten, you said no?
Yeah. It is, you know, it is the mind, like, it is the mind.
What do you mean by that? This was barely 1 month ago when you recalled that the council members beat the detainees.
You know, the statement that I gave here was my original statement, was my original speech. Like, but subsequently, you know, it can be something like that you forgot or you oversight to mention, but not actually meaning dodging away from what you've previously said or whatever. Because once I wrote this or give it out and it was written down, and then now I am here to testify, does not mean that I am running away, because I've already given this and it's in writing where I sign. So asking me does not actually mean that, or asking me and then, failing to mention this does not actually mean that I'm running away from telling the truth, because I've already said it and it is in writings. So, but it's like I said, it's just the mind to say, why didn't I mention it like the way it is? Because it's already on paper, so it wouldn't make sense for me to say it when it is already down on paper and then coming up and then saying a different thing. It's just the mind.
You seem to be struggling to explain that, but the difference here is you said something completely different from what you said in the statement. It's not that you forgot, but you actually said the detainees were not beaten.
No,
Whereas in your statement, you said they were beaten.
No, I think you asked me whether they were beaten by the Otlys.
I asked if they were beaten. That was my question. Were they beaten? I did not ask if they were beaten by the orderlies.
Yeah, that's why I responded to say if they were beaten, not to my knowledge, because I thought you were saying they were beaten by the orderlies. As far as as far as I'm concerned, I have not laid hand on any of them. That's what I said.
In fact, what you said was they were not beaten. But we'll leave it at that. I think it is now clear. Your recollection is that they were beaten by the council members.
Absolutely. They were beaten, and like I said, one of them, which I could not remember, a pistol from Yankuba was put into his mouth. but it's now that I know it's Chongan, because I don't know Chongan at that time. I came to know Chongan when I was also there, detained at Mile 2.
And you've told us clearly that you didn't beat any of the detainees and you didn't insult any of the detainees, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is a message for the OV van. I think we can now play the video of Mr. Ibrahim Chongan.
So said, and I had all the soldiers, yeah, where's Chongan? Where's Chongan? He was the one who ambushed us. So Sabali came with Antu Seydi, the deputy governor of the prison, and he showed me something and I said, do you know this? I said, what? He said, this is blood. So I thought it was blood of Captain Emo Cham. So now they opened my cell, and Antu Seydi, who was the deputy prison governor, they handcuffed me from behind. So when they handcuffed me from behind...
Let's get that clear. Who handcuffed you?
Antu Seydi, who was the deputy prison commissioner.
Proceed, please.
So he handcuffed me from behind, and then the same thing. They dragged me, they beat me with, boots, rifle butt, and I was crying. I wouldn't be ashamed to say that. And I said, I just gave up. And I said, wow, this is the end. So I just gave up on life. And then suddenly, something happened. Then Haidara, because I trained Haidara before, I just heard him, he said, be careful. So I was wondering, because I had lost hope on life. And I said, oh my God, maybe my life is coming back. If somebody they're going to execute, why would they say be careful? So we went there. We went to the security wing number 1. Is this the same thing?
What do you mean by it's the same thing? Explain what happened.
Yes, I'm coming to that. So Sabali, they said, say your last prayers. And I said, no, I'm not saying any last prayers. I mean, if I die, I'm going to go to heaven anyway. You murdered me. So they just started, suddenly they just started firing. Brrr. Maybe it was not long, but for me it took eternity. But also, I was a trained soldier. I know a bullet that's going to kill you, you will not hear it. But still, I was scared to death. And one of the soldiers had a pistol in my mouth to safety catch down. So,
do you know who that person was?
Well, it's a long time, and there were soldiers there. But I suspect it was Yankuba Toure. I might be mistaken identity, but he was there. So now,
go ahead.
Thank you. So now they stopped the ceasefire, and then they pointed gun. There was a private Njai who was Sana Sabali's orderly, and there was another Zandam who was a private, something Suso. I know him because he was in the Gendarmerie, and Njai insult me, tell me, and then we crawl, and then went to security wing number 1, and then I was put inside the cell and locked up. And then they say, all right, we will come back for you. So they locked the whole place. And
at this stage, did you know what had happened to your other colleagues, apart from the fact that they were beaten?
No, but after they dragged me and took me to the cell, I had a hope that maybe they went through the same thing, but they were not executed. But so now I'm in my cell after what looks like eternity, and I said, Captain Cham, he has a name, they call him Muhammad Betty. So I said, Captain Cham, is anybody here? And then Captain Cham, it took like ages, and then he turned around and said, Chongs, and automatically said, are we safe? And then I said, well, Captain Cham, I don't know, in Wolof.
Who was he referring to when he said chunks?
Oh, yeah.
Council. But I want to swear by the Quran that I started with before my testimony. Like I said, I didn't know Chongan until the time I was at the detention. I was taken to Mile 2 on distant detention also. it has seized me by surprise to hear this from him, because I didn't know him either, and he didn't know me. In fact, I came to know Chongan when I was there, like I said, and Chongan was one of my closest friends whilst we were there. Him, Mama Cham, Kambi, and Sirif Gomez, if they are listening to me. So it has seized me by surprise for him mentioning my name as to I insulted. I swear to the Holy Quran, and I will swear again, that I am not those type of soldiers who easily insult. Soldiers are watching at me right now, and they know what I am saying. If I am capable of that, they know. If I am not capable of that, they know. But I am not that type of or those type of soldiers who freely speak to people anyhow. Chongan, like I said, these were my superiors. So, you know, without anything, I cannot just come and see him and then just insult him. For what reason? Why? Why should I do it? Why?
Because you were in a position of power, and he was
no,
weak
I
at
was
the
not
time.
I was not in the position of power, because I was just an orderly under close protection. So
Chongan was a detainee.
Chongan was a detainee, yes, Consul. But that doesn't mean that I should do whatever I feel like without an order.
So why would Chongan say that you insulted him if you did not?
That's what doubts me, wallahi, billahi. This is what doubts me. Because, like I said, Chongan doesn't know me. And then, if I did anything bad to Chongan, I don't think Chongan would have accepted me when I was there. Because from my cell, it was direct to their cells. You know, Chongan at that time, when he do prepare that breakfast, that morning breakfast, you know, he was the one who usually give me some. And I think if I would have done anything bad to Chongan at that time, he was not going to appreciate me to the extent of, I think at confinement number 1 within Sana's Odlis, I was the only person who was very close to them when we were all there eventually. I was the only person.
This was
and
a very traumatizing moment.
One of those who contributed
not only the humiliation,
reconcile
torture,
Sana and those senior officers at Security Wing number 5, which I succeeded, except Chongan, who said he's not going to accept it because it is Sana who caused them to be there. But the rest, you know, accepted the reconciliation, and then that was where it is. So
from everything you've told us, by the time Mr. Ibrahim Chongan testified in January of this year, he would have known who you were. So he identified you clearly as the person who insulted him on the 6th of September, 1994. Why would he say that you did it if you did not?
That is what doubts me. Because why should I insult him? What did he do to me that will warrant me to this day to insult him just like that? Just like that. Like I said, even their removal from the cells to number 1 was just on order. But me alone, I was not bold enough to do it without order. So it has seized me by surprise for him mentioning my name that I insulted him. Out of what? Out of what?
Well, Mr. Njai, thank you for that. We will have to move on, but I note the time, Madam Chair. Perhaps we could take the lunch break, the coffee break now, and then resume. Thank you.
Thank you, Counsel. Thank you, witness. We will take a break now and come back at midday. Thank you.